So welcome to the podcast. Great to have you on. I've lost all my mojo because Connor's told me not to be loud. But I thought I'd just give you a quick 2 seconds, introduce yourself to the crowd and tell us who you are.
So I'm Alluka. I'm a content creator in Auckland. I'm 26, about to turn 27. And yeah, I make lifestyle, Japan and travel content. Yeah.
Cool. So we're definitely going to geek out, as I said to you before, about Japan and Tokyo because I'm real keen to talk about that. But what I wanted to start with is a little bit about the history. And you're probably the first content creator who I watched the early stuff, as I said to you before, but haven't watched the most recent stuff until recently. And I think I watched a lot of that. A lot of it was more comedic, I suppose, back in those days than it is more lifestyle now.
Yeah.
So 2 things. 1, how did it all start getting onto TikTok? And then 2, tell me about the switch of content styles.
So I was living with my best friend at the time, just over the summer, and she was on TikTok doing skits and stuff, and like she blew up, but then she did shit. She was like, "Nah, I'm done with TikTok. It's just not for me anymore." And then I just thought her stuff was really funny. She'd just like do stuff like being an Asian, like growing up Asian, what my POV, my Asian mom and stuff like that. And I thought it was pretty funny. And I just thought, okay, what could I do that's kind of relevant to me? Growing up on the North Shore, kind of taking the mickey out of that, and just like all, guys I dated in the past and stuff, like way back in the past, like have been in a healthy long-term relationship. Not talking about Max being toxic. He's great. Yeah. He's great.
He's great proposed.
Where's he proposing?
Yeah, he's great, but proposed. Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of talk about that, and then be like, POV, he takes you on a date, and like he takes you to like Vic Park and stuff like that, and like people kind of just thought I was being serious, and I was
Sounds like someone we know.
Oh, are you from the shore as well?
No, that's just what he does for dates.
Not from
He just takes people to Vic Park for dates.
I take myself.
As you should.
Yeah.
Self-care.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how I got started into it, because we were living together and it was kind of fun. We'd bounce ideas off of each other.
Yeah.
And then I kind of realized that working in that, doing skits and stuff wasn't actually going to be monetizable. It's not going to, brands don't like it.
Yeah.
I had very few brand deals, which was great, in 2021. But I wasn't able to really monetize my content. And I was just like, how can I take it to the next level? Because I know I've got followers here. I know that I've got a community. And also I felt burnt out from making that kind of content.
Yeah. And so that made the switch into lifestyle.
Yes.
And was that just like natural because like that was who you were, or did you like deliberately go, what are the options, which way do I want to go down, or was it just a natural thing?
I think it was more of a natural approach because it was sort of like, okay, well, skits are now starting to die out. What can I do that's more sustainable and just more long term, I guess? Yeah.
And in terms of lifestyle, like how do you categorize that for yourself? Like where do you sit in that lifestyle category? Because like it's quite broad on TikTok, but like how do you categorize yourself in lifestyle?
I think I categorize myself more into like, the day in the life vlogs, day in my life as a buyer, my corporate job, what I spend in a day is, very general stuff. And like also I talked a lot about buying a home last year and then also just travel content and stuff as well.
And then from like a brand deal perspective, I mean, you've obviously got your brand deals on your page. So it's not like we're jumping into things that people don't already know, but like what sort of brand deals how did the brand deals sort of conversation change as that happened? Like from the comedic stuff to that, like was it quite deliberate going to the brands through the agency, or did it just organically happen that more brands were like, oh, I like this content?
More brands organically started to like the content more, and I think a lot of them just weren't sure how they would be able to work with me in terms of like what my current niche was as a more comedic skit creator versus doing like, this is a day in my life vlog, and then add in the product placement, so it just made more sense organically.
It's quite interesting. It's the second time I've heard that, in 2 weeks. Like Emma was the last one, right, last week, who curated her whole feed for brand deals, like completely changed, like in terms of like cooking, she does a lot of cooking and buying and budgeting tips for meals. But similar to you, like she did it deliberately as like, I need a change because I want brand deals, and brand deals aren't going to come from anything else, even though she might want to do, like she has like a side gig, which is like her Korean K-pop dance group thing that she does. Whereas like, that's not really as monetizable. Well, not in New Zealand for that space anyway, where she's at. So that's interesting that you actually, what made you, like was it just something that you did that you knew? Like, was there a catalyst to make you make that change? Like, how did you know to do that?
I think because I just saw like people coming up doing day in the life vlogs and stuff, and I was like, I could do that.
Yeah.
I could do that. My life's a bit more boring. Like I don't, work from home. Well, at the time I didn't work from home. I worked from the office all the time and stuff. And I was like, how do I do this? So I started transitioning into doing like weekend vlogs, do 2 weekend vlogs a week, and then I do like, fashion content sort of and stuff like that, and cooking content too. Yeah.
But how did you know that was going to get better brand deals? Did you, or did it just happen?
No, I think I knew it was going to happen because of I think just because a lot of people would say, and like my friends who had mutuals who followed me were like, oh, is Alluka really like that? Is she like really an awful person? Like it obviously says POV, mean girl at whatever situation, like, but people thought I was actually serious, and I was like, I don't want people to think that, like, I don't want people to think I'm an awful person, because I'm not. At least I don't think so. So I was just like, fuck, this is not for me. And I just kind of thought like it's just not on brand for me. I want to be more like just myself and just more carefree. Yeah,
interesting. So tell me then, so you made that transition, things started to go quite well. Where do you see that content journey going into the future? Like, I mean, we spoke off camera before that you're quite career driven and that's a thing for you. But what's the creator world? What do you hope to do with that into the future?
Actually, I recently went to Japan, as we talked about that, and travel's a big, part of my life. And pre-pandemic and everything, I traveled a lot with my friends and family and my partner as well. And I'd love to, do more travel and stuff. And kind of at the moment, a little cheeky plug, I am actually working on a ebook.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I'm actually doing a 3-week Japan itinerary. So there's a free version, and I'm actually writing the premium right now, which is like a complete guide for beginners for 3 weeks in Japan, hotel reviews, food recommendations, everything we did. Has
your audience asked for it?
Yes.
Is that where it came from?
Yeah. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it was really cool because they had kept asking me, like, when are you dropping a 3-week itinerary? When are you going to do it? And I was like, guys, I need some time. I need some breathing space. And then I was like, actually, why don't I just write it all? Like, instead of doing multiple videos, it just felt like it didn't make any sense to do multiple videos. People will keep asking me about it. And I'm like, I can't keep saying, go to this playlist. So I was like, well, I might as well just write a book about it. Well, a digital ebook. So,
It is funny that though, like in that course or book creation space, but like even though people could go watch all your videos, they just want it curated and put in a place for it, right? It's like we work with a company called VidSing. Have you heard of VidSing before? They do like build your own Netflix essentially.
Oh, okay.
And it's like a pay subscription model, self-service thing. And we're helping them bring on a bunch of creators as well for this purpose, where they literally like they take a whole bunch of your content and then they just monetize it, but in a group, like in a group package. So people can go and pay like, I don't know, it's crazy that people do this, but they'll pay like $100 to take a collection of your videos that tells them about a topic.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because like it stops them having to scroll through and find everything, and they can learn it.
Yeah.
And so like some of the creators aren't even making new content.
Wow.
They're just like packaging up content they already have and selling it as a bundle. And it's the whole thing of like time's money, right? Like people just want to be able to get what they need and know that this is exactly all they need to do the thing. So that's interesting. Oh, cool. So tell me about the ebook. Like when can people expect it? Let's plug the shit out of it. Like
let's plug this
get,
right
like,
now.
all 7 people watching. Like,
all 7 people.
All 7 people. What is it? When is it coming?
It should be coming this weekend.
Oh, that soon.
Yeah, that soon. So
Sweet.
I have been actually working on it for 3 weeks now. It's
cool.
That's me.
And they can get it from your link?
They can get it from my link tree.
Nice.
It is not there yet.
No.
But it will be there soon.
Yeah.
So yes,
And that's essentially a 3-week holiday itinerary guide.
Yeah. There's a free one and a premium. So if you feel like you need more,
cool,
there's a premium version for you.
Tell me, where does this guide take them? Is it Tokyo? Is it all of Japan? Like what is it? How big?
So just be kind of like where I guess most beginners would want to go. So Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, Hiroshima, and then finishing your trip off in Tokyo.
Okay, cool. So actually 3 weeks around the country. Yeah, that's cool. What's one of the cool tips in it that people, without giving too much away that you want people to pay for, what's something cool that like you're putting in there that most people don't realize when they go to Japan?
I think, it would be, a lot of it will just be kind of more in the general tips. So kind of like just general customs and stuff,
Yeah.
and also just etiquette in Japan,
Yeah.
and then also just more about the JR pass. That's something I
yeah.
get a huge
Yeah.
people always ask about that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The thing that that bugged me out the most when I went there, and like, but it was fine. It was just like I didn't get it at first. Was when I rocked up to the gym.
Oh yeah,
because I'd rock up in a singlet.
yeah. Oh
And they were like, "You can't come in here."
no,
and I'm like,
did you
"Why
have
not?"
tattoos at the time?
Oh, I had this half sleeve.
Yeah.
And they're like, "You can't be in here." And I'm like, "Why?" They're like, "You have tattoos." And so I had to go buy, because I can't even wear t-shirts.
No.
So I had to go buy a long sleeve. I had to work out in long sleeve. And when I was in Japan, it was, I went there in June.
Oh.
And I left in September.
No. Worst times, June.
So hot. So
humidity.
hot.
Yeah.
It was so hot. And I went there. So that was a real interesting thing. And I thought, like, I had to tell heaps of people that. I was like, because most people I know had tattoos.
Yeah.
And I had to be like, and like, I get the culture, I get why not, and all that sort of stuff. But I was just something I wasn't prepared for.
Yeah.
Going, because it's not one of those things that you rock up to. So, and I think, and I find that in a lot of countries when I've traveled, like, there's always little tiny things, right? That like just customs are different.
Yeah.
What's your biggest tip for people trying to find good places to eat if they don't, they just want to randomly roll up somewhere?
See, I don't usually like to pre-plan places, because I just feel like you're better off to like go. So like one of my favorite places in Japan is called Ron Okonomiyaki. And I didn't even know about this place. I didn't know it existed. I just knew Okonomimura existed in Hiroshima. And it's like a place that's just a whole building full of people who do okonomiyaki. So we went there and we were just looking, they're telling you like, oh, come to us because we're this. And they're like family owned business. So I was like, okay, let's go there. Yeah. 3rd floor. And then we just had the most amazing time. And then I plugged them on TikTok. And to this day, I still get people telling me like, whoa, we like went there and like they remember you and stuff. So they had really good Google reviews. Someone mentioned that they watched my TikTok. So my best suggestion is honestly just to kind of walk around. I try avoid the chain restaurants. If you have to, like, just go. Some of the chains are great, but don't go to Ichiran. That place sucks. I hate that place.
What is it?
It's a really popular ramen place, and everyone, like every tourist, eats it up. They're like, this place is amazing, and it's not.
Oh, the only ramen places I went to are like the local route near where we lived. Like, I don't know why you'd go anywhere else.
Why would you go to? I did go there to take Max, and I was like, this place is going to be average, by the way, and it's just really thick broth, and it's good, but like, man, when you're paying 13 NZD, it's like you could go somewhere else for
13 NZD.
That's pretty expensive.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's like how
for
much
ramen in Japan?
Yeah, for ramen in Japan, they've like increased
it's like
their
$3.
prices. Yeah, they increased their prices because of the tourists.
Really?
Yeah.
My like local like. So you had 2 locals. You have the one where like you go in and order, and that it'd be okay to pay like $7 or $8. But then the other ones are all the vending machine ones, which is like $2-3.
Those ones are really good. Yeah,
those are the best ones. Those are the ones because when we first got to Japan, we I think we're there for 4 months, and for the first 2 months or 2.5 months, we were like on a budget, trying to make it last, get careers there set up for a bit. And then about a month and a half before we left, we got offered these roles. Well, we got pulled back to Sydney for work. Right. And we got offered these. We signed roles that were really good. So we had like 6 to 8 weeks left. And we had a whole bunch of money left. And we're just like, fuck, let's like ball out. But in that first like 10 weeks, we were like super strict with where we ate. Yeah. And like, so all the like vending machine ramens were the best one. But also, I can't remember the place now. There's like a supermarket. It's yellow. It's got a picture of a cow on the logo, and it's like it's everywhere, the supermarket, but they sell like it's mostly like, well, actually it sells everything, but we used to go in for the meat that they sold, because they did all like I can't remember how you call it in Japan now, the like thinly sliced meat.
For like shabu shabu and stuff.
And so we'd buy all that because it's like the cheapest way to eat was like to buy that in a massive bag of rice and then cook it home. Anyway, like I told you, we're going to geek out on fucking Japan if I go too long. Let me go back a bit. So ebooks coming out. Yeah. That's great. What's the price point? Have you decided on that or not? You're not sure yet? The price point will be under $10. Under $10. Oh, that's good. That's easy. That's an easy thing for people to just grab. Yeah. I just wanted to make sure it was accessible to people, because I just feel like
I mean, it takes a lot of work to build a really solid itinerary. In Japan is a really big country. A lot of people don't realize that. It's so spread out. There's so much to do. It's so dense. But, you know, I didn't want it to be like outrageously expensive where it's like, well, I could just do this myself. I'll put the time into it. So I thought, you know, I'll put the time into it. My followers have wanted this for a while. Make it accessible for everyone.
Cool. I really like that idea. I say it to a lot of people who come and see me. They're like, I've got this really great idea for a thing. I need help marketing it. And I like these days, like whenever I get someone at that stage of their business cycle, whatever, I'm like, go away and grab an audience. If no one knows who you are, one, you're not going to be able to sell it anyways. There's only so much I can do. And two, how do you know they even want it? Like, and so I love like hearing this from creators who are like yourself, who's going, no, people have asked for this thing, and so I make it. And what I love is that like your audience will actually be stoked for it. That's the coolest thing. Like, and I've seen that like when people make stuff that their audience asks for, it's not like this guy's just plugging something to make some money. Like they're legitimately like, thank you so much for that thing. How do you propose on pushing that out through this?
So yeah, I'm planning on making a TikTok video, and I'll also post it on Instagram Reels, probably on YouTube Shorts as well. It'll be like under a minute. Hey guys, if you're going, it'll be, I think also another thing I've learned recently is like TikTok audiences really like when you refer to them as you. So this is how make your Japan trip better and buy my itinerary. But there's a free version as well. If you want to read that and you feel like you need more, that's kind of how I'm planning to do it. And then like also having like a green screen of like, this is the free one and this is like a screenshot of like one page from the what you can expect in the premium.
Have you talked much about it on your channel already?
No.
No, because I haven't seen, right? Because I just watched the last sort of 10.
I have not. I've posted on my stories.
Why not?
I have my reasons.
Oh.
I could tell you later.
Oh, you can tell me later. This is not camera conversation.
This is a...
Yeah, okay. No, that's fine. That's fine. And I always... The reason I say that is like... there's this thing when you like post about stuff and there's this mentality that people have of like build it and they'll come sort of idea. And like the issue with that is that like just people aren't ready at the time when you tell them. They're usually not ready for a while. They're not all ready at the same time. So it's like, how do you keep telling a story about something that isn't just like buy my stuff today, buy my stuff today, buy my stuff today. And that was even like when Connor launched like with his De Plaza, he had real good numbers, real good like people coming through, but then he launched and those tens of thousands of people didn't translate to tens of thousands of orders, which is normal. Like that's how it should be. So like, how do you see it? How do you see you doing that long term? Like continuing to push it, or are you just hoping that like it'll be a passive thing that people just go into the link and buy?
So I'm hoping it's going to be a passive thing, but I think that also with my future trips, not just with Japan, like if I'm going to South Korea, that's somewhere I really want to go is like as a beginner going to Korea, this is what I did. And like, I'm someone who really likes to do extensive research before I go somewhere new. So, you know, then I'll also like put out like, this is my free itinerary because people will ask me about it, I'm sure. And so then I will then transition that into, okay, this is my 1 week guide in Seoul. And then, you know, same thing if I go to New York or wherever, you know?
Okay. So it becomes like a Lonely Planet guide, sort of.
Oh, my mum actually told me about that. Yeah.
Oh, you don't even? Is that how old I am? Has that not been a thing for that long? Is it?
I don't know.
Fuck, that was a real stab in the back. Thanks, Alluka.
My mum told me.
Just letting you know, Stan. Oh, that's like my mum told me about.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
So just for everyone else who's fucking young out there, Lonely Planet was like the thing.
Oh,
that was the only guides that you got when you went traveling.
Okay,
they like sell books.
Oh,
and you can still buy them, but like they obviously lost in a lot of sales because everything went online. But like they were like the definitive guides, like, and they're actually like real good. I'm surprised. Like the dumb thing is that they didn't make the content like relevant. Sorry, for social media.
Yeah,
but they have it all. If you pick up an old Lonely Planet guide, it is like. You know, it's like having like all the answers you need perfectly in a perfect like itinerary sort of setup. You should Google
I will have a look.
Find a Japan one and like steal
all their content.
I mean, some of it's going to be old and outdated now. Like all of it's going to have changed.
Yeah,
that's so funny. That does make me feel old. Like when I first went traveling in 2011. So that's not that long ago.
No.
But when I went first traveling there, like every time you went to a hostel or something like that, they would just have like books, like loan plan books, so you could like pick it out and because like. You didn't have this.
No. Well, yeah, we did.
No.
Didn't we?
Nah, not to the same level.
Oh, yeah. They were like...
You couldn't do everything you wanted on it.
No, it was just...
And most people didn't have one. Because the iPhone came out in 2008.
Yeah,
They weren't mass market till 2012 when Instagram popped off.
True.
Yeah. I didn't have a smartphone until 2012.
Yeah, I think so. Same for me. Yeah.
I still had like the Nokia... BlackBerry.
Oh,
I was gonna say it would have been the old school Nokia.
Yeah, well, I had the one that had the full QWERTY keyboard on it.
Oh, that's fun.
Looked like it was Flash. Yeah, it wasn't Flash or shit. So okay, anyway, thanks for making me feel real old, Alluka. That's great. Anyway, we'll move on from that. So ebook going out. What about the brand itself? Like you as a brand, what do you hope to do with it? How do you see it aligning? Do you see it aligning with career as you go forward, or do you see them as two separate things always?
Like me as a creator and Sakura Guides as a brand?
No. Yeah, so you as a creator and the brands and the guides.
Yeah.
And your career as a buyer.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Do you see them as two separate things?
I see them as two separate things.
And always?
Always.
Why is that?
I guess because it's interesting because when I was at uni, I was always interested in influencers. I was like, wow. And like, you see all the Aussie influencers and I've been following them for such a long time. And I thought, how cool would it be to be an influencer one day? But now that I'm here, I'm like, okay. Like actually when I was at uni, I thought, cool, I'd love to go into digital marketing and like advertising and stuff and like social media management. And now I'm like, whoa, separate. Like I really don't want to be involving my work life and my, I don't want them to come together. I feel like I think it's a good balance for me to just kind of keep it separate. It kind of also allows me to, work a different side of my brain and like, and just kind of keep it separate. Like in terms of my buying role, it's like, doing negotiations and stuff with suppliers and like a whole bunch of different stuff, like real, your kind of textbook marketing kind of stuff and like real life stuff. Not saying that social media is not real life, but it's just more like it's completely different. It's more of like a fun thing, and I think it kind of grounds me in a way.
Interesting. Let's push on this. This is something I'm real interested in how social media and how people's brand as helps with career and business.
Yes.
Obviously, like our whole business is built on personal branding. Like that's actually what we're known for, not the TikTok side of stuff. Like that's just like a fun side project almost for our business. So why not have your professional brand and your like your TikTok brand's never going to be the career driven brand, as in like this isn't going to be the brand that grows and helps your career. But why is there not a professional brand for Alluka?
I don't know. I haven't really thought about it.
Like why isn't there like a LinkedIn version of Alluka?
I do have LinkedIn, but I try to keep it low key because I was like, I just didn't want people to find out where I worked or anything. But then I was like, I feel like I just need LinkedIn anyways because this is where people are. Like if I want to be in the corporate world or whatever, just like be known as someone, I do need to be on LinkedIn. It's just the place where everyone is. And, whether I'm working for my current company or somewhere else. And so I'm not that active on there. I used to be really active on there. And then I started social media. People start finding out where I worked. And I was like, nope, deactivate. But then I reactivated it.
Tell me about that a little bit before we move on. What was it about them finding out where you work? What was happening?
I think it was because it was kind of early on into my social media. That was like when I was doing POVs and stuff. And my work has always known about it. They've actually, since I started with my company, they've known about like my social media hustle and they've watched me grow from like it being at 0 to now where it is. And they've kind of like seen me, do like my vlogs and stuff, and then I did Twitch for a little bit and then get brand deals and working with these amazing brands, and they're like, whoa, this is crazy. And they've always been really supportive, which is amazing. Cool. But I always I had a fear of people like, watching my TikToks and then like associating me with being, you know, who I was on TikTok versus like my corporate self.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, like I don't want people to like find out about that. And now all my colleagues they watch my TikToks. So I'm like, you know what, whatever.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to see it anyways.
Yeah. So you're more worried about the people at work
Yes.
knowing about TikTok rather than the TikTok following know about the work?
It was kind of
Was there security reasons you're worried about the other way around?
Yes. Yeah. So it was just more like initially I was like, oh my gosh, is this as my TikTok's growing and I was, you know, hitting around 20,000 followers at the time. I was like, oh no, people are starting to recognize me in public and I don't want them to know where I work. And like, you know, I work in Auckland and, you know, that was kind of something that kind of really scared me because I'd never had been recognized before. So I was just like, how does this work? Like this is really weird. And then I kind of got used to that. Then it became more of the, oh my gosh, now my work is finding out, like people in my company, like in, you know, the head office in Australia, they're like watching my TikToks and I'm like, crap. So, but now I'm just like, it is what it is. I'm more chill about it because I'm like, there's really nothing you can do. Like people are going to see it and I'm better to own it than, you know, try to hide it away.
Because like you were saying earlier when we started this that like you're quite career driven, like that's definitely something you want to pursue and that you've got plans on like making sure these two lives can live next to each other and coexist. Like something for me is like how do you make those two things work well together? And it sounds like me that like I was about to say where you work, but like I'm not sure if I should, but like it tells me like your current workplace is quite supportive. The only thing I can think is that it's only a good thing. You know, like I mean, I'm super biased because I want all the guys on my team to be big on social media and grow. But like I remember when I used to run hotels and we had people who would work for us who had decent size followings and it was mostly Instagram in those days because TikTok had only just started when I left the hotel, so no one was really big there. But like what it allowed you to do as someone in sort of more senior positions is like, say you go into negotiations with you as a buyer and you go into negotiations with a supplier. The biggest part of negotiations is rapport building, right? Like it's like to build rapport. Once that's built, the deal's much easier to be done the right way. So what you tend to find is that if people know you before you get in the room, half the rapport building is done. All they're trying to figure out is this person actually cool in real life? And like we do that all the time. Like people will come meet me here. They'll like come in or I'll go meet them and they see me on LinkedIn and they'll see us on the TikToks or whatever. And their first thing is just like, oh, like you guys aren't just this crazy fuck off attention seeker place that Joni's running around like a nutcase the whole time. Like you're legit business. And that does probably like more than half of the selling for me. Like most of that's done. So like, would that be something that you would like, how do you feel about having a professional brand? Like, is it just something you just don't want to do or is it something you just never really thought about that it could be worthwhile?
It's something I just never thought about and not known how to, I guess, execute it.
What sort of content were you putting on LinkedIn before you stopped?
Nothing.
I thought you said you put out some stuff.
No. Oh no, I was just kind of active as in like, you know, making connections. Like I was just on there. I was on there just seeing what the corporate lads are doing, stuff like that. And so
now you're not sure what sort of stuff you can do.
I just don't know what the vibe is. My friend who works for Rocket Lab, he was just like, oh, you know, people post crazy stuff on LinkedIn all the time. I'm like, what? He was like, because he doesn't really engage in TikTok. And then he said that like LinkedIn's like the place for a lot of corporate people. And I was like, that's weird.
Yeah, I would like, so my it's not really my sister-in-law, but my brother's girlfriend, my partner, she's the head buyer for Balenciaga in Dubai.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And we did like a deep dive with her when she was here in the summer. They came over from Dubai. And like, I was showing her the people she wanted to speak to as in like, and not just in currently who she's trying to work with and build connections with, but even like future career goals in people. And what blew her away is like, one, how every single one of them were there. And two, like how much they put out on LinkedIn. I don't think we've ever like got into me trying to convince a TikToker to get on LinkedIn in this podcast. Like, this might be the first time. But I reckon there's like a huge opportunity for you. You know what sort of content you put out?
No.
You put out this sort of content but written. You write it. No, you write about journey, because this is a lot of your stuff is like lifestyle. This is my life, day in the life. This is what I do. If you go and read any of my content that I put out, it's all that.
How many followers do you have or connections?
13,000.
Okay, that's a lot.
But they're all business owners as well.
Yeah.
So they're all like, that's why like I always say to like everyone I meet, like if you're trying to grow a business, like unless you're selling cheap, no, not cheap, but like low cost consumables, TikTok's a better place for it. But as soon as you go into any other sort of business or professional service or corporate or stuff like that, and the sale items or like the negotiations are bigger, like the cost or purchase is bigger.
Yeah.
The stuff on LinkedIn is just like way more valuable because you're talking to decision makers only.
I see, yeah.
You know, and that's like when I first met Joni, that was like a real big eye opener because she was telling me how little she was making being a content creator. It was 430,000, I think, at the time.
Yep.
And I was like, at the time, I think I had 10,000 or 11,000 followers on LinkedIn, and I was like, that's, you know, this is so messed up when my 11,000 followers on LinkedIn are about to pay your salary.
Yeah.
You know, like that's why like I always suggest LinkedIn. And like from a corporate world, you think about it from your client, your employer's perspective. If you've got like a big brand on there as well, that's only going to help, right? It's only going to help. Like you think about a negotiation process. Tell me how it plays out. Like what's your typical process for that whole thing?
Yeah, so like I guess with like a negotiation process, and this kind of applies to everything, it's like you go in and do it, making sure that you've done, you know, your research on obviously who you're going into business with, and it's kind of like you know, what do they want from us, what do we want from them, and how can we show them that we can benefit them, and also, you know, just try to squeeze a little bit, you know, here and there, and like they're going to be doing the same thing, right? And I guess that's kind of where now I'm thinking, should I say this?
Well, you don't have to talk about what you're buying, but people know you're a buyer.
Yeah, I know, but I'm scared now because I'm like...
That's okay. About your process.
Yeah, the process.
So let's not talk about your process. I'll take it from my perspective.
Yeah, okay.
So from my perspective, as a buyer, there's a couple of things that you've got to do, right? Like one of them is you've got to find the things and find the suppliers that you want to work with, right?
Yeah.
And one of the hard things about that is like vetting, finding out about people. Is it the right thing? Are they the right type of company we want to work with and stuff like that? And that's all part of that negotiation. They're doing the same thing to you and all that sort of stuff. But like when you've got a brand that is solid on there, the thing that changes once you've done it is that they all come to you. All the good ones do as well.
Yes.
And so they come to you not like, I know that in your world, you're sort of got, I don't know if you've got more of the power, but like you're the one spending essentially, right? But there is still this like layer of like, if people know you, you've got better opportunities with things. They're like, I want to be part of that because there is someone there. And the only thing I'm saying is like, and we don't have to stick onto this too long, but like there is, by building that personal brand from a professional sense, like it's only going to give you better opportunities in the buying world, better negotiations, better what's the word, like relationships with people as well. But also like, and you know, without your current employer, but like just opportunities.
Yeah.
Like you think about CEOs. Like at the moment we're doing a lot of work with 1NZ and Jason Paris.
Yeah.
Most of his career growth has come from the fact that he's got a really strong personal brand.
Yeah.
You know, like every company knows that like people don't stick around for their whole lives anymore. So that's not a thing. Like even your current employer knows that you're not going to be 80 and still working for them. Like that's a thing. They do know that you'll one day, you know, if it's 5, 10, whatever the time frame is, move. But those sort of progressing jumps, like a lot of that comes from like the biggest jumps come from not from applying for a role. Like no one applies for. It's like it was like when I was talking to my brother's partner, like her next role, they won't advertise the role. Yeah. Like, you know, she's trying to move into like her goal would be to move into something like Louis Vuitton or, you know, working into that level of luxury brands. Yeah. But she's like, they won't advertise that role, Stan. No. Like, it's just who you know, you get shoulder tapped and stuff like that. And you're just better off being able to do it if you've got a big brand. Yeah. Anyway, we'll move on. Okay. Tell me, what's next for this? So you've got the ebook. Yeah. You want to do more travel.
Yes.
do you see the traveling being like a long-term play, or is that like a mid-term whilst I'm still young, like, or do you just see it as something that goes on forever? You just love it so much.
I see it as something that goes on for
Yeah.
the rest of my life. Yeah.
And is that how the channel changes?
Yeah, I think so. I think it will continue being lifestyle, but then it will also, I think right now what we're seeing is like kind of like watching myself, I guess, is like this transition where it was like last year, it was like a different stage of my life where it was, okay, we can't actually still go anywhere. Book tickets to Japan, waiting for that to happen. And it was just like, okay, I'm like, this is what my content is, like me buying a house, lifestyle stuff, whatever. And now that we can travel, and I've done a fair bit of traveling this year, it was sort of like, okay, so I went here and then I went here and I'm going here as well. And it's kind of taking like my followers on this journey of like planning the trip, then going on the trip, and, what I found, what I learned and stuff if it's a new place.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Have you ever met, what's her name? Ilya? Ilya, is that how you say her name? Alexandra?
I'm not sure.
The young, can we open up Ilya? ILI.
On TikTok.
No, yeah, on TikTok, yeah, Ilya. She's like from Wellington. She made Wellington on Wellington NZ or something. Ilya Alexander, just type that in, it should come up. YA Alexander, I think. Just type Alexander, it should have come. So she started like this, that one there. Oh, Lilia. Sorry, Ilya. Sorry, Lilia. Gosh, that's embarrassing. Have you seen her before?
No.
Okay, so she's based in Wellington.
Awesome.
She's cool. She's a cool content creator. So she does full-time travel content now.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you scroll up, like in terms of her follow account, like she's not huge, but she's just been like Singapore, like she goes all around, like she went to Queenstown the other day. But you know what she did? She started a local like Wellington NZ, like what's happening in Wellington page.
Oh, I think I've seen that.
Yeah, and then she sold it.
Oh.
She sold it for a whole bunch of money at like 24 or 23 or something.
That's crazy.
And like exited out. She like, and her whole thing on LinkedIn is, I sold a media company.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And now she's like full-time travel creator.
That's amazing.
And like she follows, like, we're following each other, and I was messaging her. She's like, oh, I'm just going to Singapore. Like crazy. But so like, is this kind of thing like that sort of travel, or just like just follow me on my life?
Follow me in my life. I'm not trying to be, I don't know if you've ever seen your my Choni or like Choni Day. No, he's on YouTube. So Choni Day. So John and his girlfriend Delena, absolutely obsessed with him, have been obsessed with him for a long time. He was actually doing comedy like 10 years ago. He still does it occasionally, but then he transitioned into more lifestyle and travel stuff. Yeah. His Japan series went off. Like he did season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like they go to Japan like every year. Yeah. They go to Korea, America.
What's his name? How do we spell it?
CHONNY Day.
So this is more where CHONNY.
Choni Day.
So this is more what you'd like to do.
Yeah, so they really plan out their trips, and then they kind of film and take you on that journey of everything they're doing, and I absolutely just love them. So yeah, they do like different seasons of stuff. So like Japan season 6, that's when they got engaged. That's
cool.
when they got engaged.
I love it.
Damn. And then they also do stuff in their hometown. They live in Melbourne, and I think it's awesome. Like they've really done the lifestyle and travel thing, and they've been able to balance it with their lifestyle. I think it's awesome. So yeah.
And YouTube's for you too? 'Cause you've done a little bit there, right?
Done a bit.
Why only a bit? Just time.
It's just, I don't have time.
Just hard,
it's just really hard. Editing is crazy. And then I'm like, well, I'm getting like 397 views on a video that took me hours to edit, and it's just it's sort of like it just feels like there's just not enough reward for what and
do you
obviously
push it much?
I do sort of like I'll post it on TikTok and stuff. I post a link, but that's kind of it. I feel like I could do more, but it's very time consuming.
Yeah, it is a long thing, and I wonder. Like, there's always a big thing about like how do content creators move people from one platform to the other, right? I would like, you definitely should just be posting about it more to do it, because like there's this like whole thing with YouTube, it's like getting people initially to watch it.
Yes.
But then obviously if that's got to be good for them to stick around. Like the worst thing you can do is get them to watch it and then they don't.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem with TikTok is that people come from TikTok not ready to dive into a 12-minute video or 8-minute video. And so then they just go, oh, I'll watch 40 seconds and they get off and then that's worse for it.
Yeah, that's worse. Yeah.
Have you ever thought about like starting like a newsletter or something, like a follower newsletter?
I know Emily Mariko does it.
Who's that?
She's a really big TikToker. She does like half Japanese, does like cooking and stuff, and she's amazing. She doesn't actually talk. She does talk sometimes, but she does like ASMR stuff. Yep. But she has a newsletter. Yeah, she's like the first creator that I've actually seen do a newsletter. Yeah.
You know how many creators I've seen who do paid subscription newsletter?
Really?
Heaps of people do it. It's like, so think about it from your perspective. You instead of doing an ebook, you do a paid subscription travel thing, and they don't come out all the time. Yeah, and you can do it that you can do paid subscriptions that people only pay when an edition comes out.
Okay, I didn't know that.
You know, so it's like it's called like there's like payment systems like Recurly and stuff, which when you activate it gets sent out. They signed up for whenever it happens, but no more than a certain amount. It's kind of like what Patreon tried to do, but then Patreon turned into a cheap version of OnlyFans, but like it's like that initial thing. That could be a cool way. Yeah, because the reason why is it's easy to get people from newsletters to other things.
Yeah,
you know, you can send people from newsletters to anywhere because like to commit to read a newsletter is like a whole thing. And so there's two ways of doing newsletters. You either make the newsletter paid. That's one way to do it, which in your model it might work because you're gonna go, hey, you like these ebooks that I'm doing? Like moving forward, like they're all going to live here. Subscribe to this, you'll get all of them.
Yes.
Or you can buy them one off here. Yeah. Or you subscribe and you can get access to the whole library.
Yes.
Or the other way people do it is that once you get enough people subscribe to a newsletter, you just have paid advertisements on it. Like you just be like, Tony, I need someone to sponsor my newsletter this month.
Tony, we need this sorted out.
Yeah. Just tell him to take care. I mean, he's going to take care of it. He'll make money off it, so he'll be fine. And a lot of the time that those like the paid newsletter subscriptions, they usually do cost per click with a base spend.
Yes, yeah.
You know, because it's easier for them to track. So they'll just do like cost per click, like we'll give you $1 per person who comes through, and if you can get 1,000 people through, then or whatever the number is, I don't know. That's an interesting way, like as a way to look at it of like, the hardest thing when you sell ebooks or like all that sort of stuff is that even if it's one of those things that you can make once and sell it forever, people won't buy it forever.
They're not going to buy it forever, no, yeah.
And it's outdated in a year anyway, right? And you have to update it. You have to put new versions out. New
versions, yeah.
Yeah. So how do you create something where, this is like, you think about like software.
Yes.
All software subscription based now, so that people don't have to upgrade all the time. They don't always have to buy the new edition. Yeah. They just get it. Yeah. So like, how do you put them on a newsletter?
Yeah, and then they can just get an updated version, and then
And they might even get like, you think about your vlogs on your TikTok. How long are they on average?
How long
are they? Like in length?
Oh, like a minute to a minute and a half.
How much footage do you have on your phone?
Oh, a crazy amount.
Yeah, because we've talked about that even for us in our TAS internal. We're the same. Like we have this super long stuff. And we're like, what do we do with all this other footage? Like, could we have like behind the scenes, or could we have additional footage? Where does that live? Could it go somewhere else that people who are really keen could watch more? But you could do similar stuff on your newsletter, right? It's like, on my thing, you saw me go to this place, but here's like me actually walking around. You can watch the whole thing.
Like the more behind the scenes, not just like a 0.5 second clip, whatever. Yeah.
You know, and only for like the deeper lore of people, like the people who are real keen. Yeah. Because your audience, since I've known Joni, hasn't grown heaps.
No. Yeah.
But that sometimes is a real good thing because your views are like your audience gets to know you real well, right? So would you say that your audience is like pretty like in tune with everything that you're doing, sort of thing? Like they're pretty loyal, right? Like pretty.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting because I used to be like, oh, everyone like has more followers than
Yeah.
me, and it's really, you know, it is what it is when you're a content creator. It's so easy to compare yourself, like so and so has like 500,000 followers, why do I like not, why am I sucking, like I'm not getting to that point. But I think what I've really realized this year is the fact that my audience are very loyal and they know what's going on in my life. So I'll get DMs from people saying like, oh my god, haha, when's Max gonna propose? And I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, you know about this? And then or like, how's work going, or like how do you get into buying, and just stuff I talked about so long ago but people remember and they come to me and ask me or they'll comment about it. And it's really nice. I think you know, I've kind of really realized the value in having an audience and a community versus just like having a number, because there's really no point in having 500,000 followers, 1 million followers if no one actually gives a shit about you. Like, what's the point?
If they're just there for the laughs or whatever, right? I reckon that like, that like, because you're already going to do these ebook things, like how do you make it something that, one, I don't have to, you know, like if you get 1,000 people to buy the ebook, let's say, how do you get them to buy a second one? And you always have drop off. Yeah. I don't think you shouldn't not launch the thing just because you fucking came on a podcast for an hour. But like, how do you get that into something where people just are part of it? Yeah. Like, and it might not even be a paid thing. It might just be like, so for instance, you come on over, get the free version, you're going to get their email address. Like, what if you just said in that email address you sign up to a newsletter at that point? Don't even have a newsletter planned. Yeah. Just have permission. Because like newsletters are one of those things that like people don't realize how many people actually do consume newsletters. Like I've probably got 3 that I like. Seth Godin's one. I mean, he's been doing his for literally 20 years, 25 years or something. I've been doing his one. Published Press, which I've only recently subscribed to. That's the guys from Colin and Samir. They're massive YouTube guys. Theirs is all about creator economy stuff. And there's a third one that comes out way less regularly. The guy who wrote Atomic Habits. Anyway, but like I don't have any time to read that shit, but those things I make time for. Yes. And like even our one that we have on LinkedIn, we probably on average get like 2,500-3,000 readers a month. Yeah. 2.5.
Just over 3,000.
Yeah, 3,000 readers.
A lot of people.
A week, not a month. I said a month.
That's who's subscribed.
No, but that's our viewership too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, our viewership's about 2,000 to 2,500. Yeah,
that's a lot.
Like, there's most of these guys fucking around, isn't it? You know what I mean? But I guess my point, like for you, like that could be 2 quite cool things because like it actually probably plays into your career side of it too, like your writing. Yes. You know, because like most corporate career-driven content's not going to be TikToks and vlogs, but like writing and like, you know, think about people like at the top of their game in any career, they all write articles for stuff. They all end up writing a book. Like it's just that sort of.
It's just the progression. It happens,
But also, like as you get older, you don't mind having longer form content to consume. You're not as so much just trying to know what's up with the world and be part of it. You're a bit longer. Me saying that, how does that make you feel? Like, are you just like, that's a dumb thing, I'd never do it? Or like, no, it's and I don't just be kind. No, because it's an interesting debate.
Yeah, no, I think this is definitely something I want to do because I was sort of thinking, okay, it's cool to just post a video and be like, hey guys, hey y'all, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and then, you know, no one cares. And then it's like, okay, well, I've put out this premium thing. No one's going to care, like, after one video. Like, how many times can I put it out, like you said? So it is interesting because I'm thinking, okay, well, yeah, now I need to go back and think, you know, again, I'm not in a rush to launch it because I've said to them, be patient. It's going to take time because I want to make sure it's good. This is my passion project. So, yeah, I think that's probably going to be the best way to draw people because I was thinking, I do kind of like the idea of doing a send out because people were like, because initially I was like, this is way before I even thought ahead of like premium. Yeah. I just put a box on Instagram stories and then people sending me their email address and I was like, wait, I haven't done it yet. Like I'm going to screenshot all this now. And then people were just like, email it to me when it's done. I'm like, girl, it's going to take a while. Just wait. Yeah. So now I'm like, actually, initially that was where it all started, was like, maybe I'll just personally email it out to people.
Yeah.
And I still like the idea of that because it feels a bit more personable for the people who want it, and then we can do from there.
Premium version of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think it's quite cool. Like a big thing this year for us is like, how do we provide more content for different consumers or different audiences? So, you know, a whole bunch of people watch us on TikTok and a whole bunch of people watch me on LinkedIn or whatever it might be. But like, they want more, but that doesn't mean they want more TikToks.
Yes, yeah.
You know, that's not true. Like, that's just not what they want.
Yeah.
So what else can we give them? And like a lot of people on our on our Taz TikTok will be like, oh, tell us what you actually do and stuff like that. And we're like, this is a TV show. Like, this isn't the real Taz. Like, this is a full-on drama.
Yeah.
Like tragedy, probably more than a drama. But like, that's why it is, right? But that's why we have like the newsletter on LinkedIn. We have the LinkedIn profiles. The guys are about to start YouTube. Or get more heavy into YouTube than we were, and things like that. So like, it is a good way of diversifying that group, but also like it is another, like, as soon as someone commits to a couple things with you, they are more likely to then like. Have you ever read the book? Not Persuasion. I'm gonna forget it now, but it's like the 7 sort of habits of like, it's essentially habits of manipulation.
No.
It's pretty, I mean, when I say it like that, it sounds real terrible, but like, there are things like social proof, scarcity, reciprocity, but one of them is commitment and consistency. And the commitment and consistency principle is like one of the like most crazy powerful like things, like principles you can put into place to like have people do shit. And what it is that if people make small little commitments over time, they will continue to act consistently into the future. So if someone subscribes to your TikTok and then you're like, hey, come to my YouTube, and then they go to YouTube and you're like, hey, I got this email address, and they're like, yeah, and then like, hey, I've got this ebook, you want to buy it? They'll continue to act consistently, which is like, yes, I will buy. And so the more places you can live and have those people come around, which is like you on like Instagram, YouTube, TikTok already, but they're like very similar styles of content. As in they're all video heavy content. So it's not really like, they're just like, oh yeah, I'll be everywhere. But as soon as they're like consuming a newsletter, you know, that's why I often talk to like young creators, like, why aren't you on LinkedIn? Like LinkedIn's like where Facebook was like 2014, 2015, where it was actually like good. Like before it turned into like a bunch of old people arguing about shit. Like it was actually really good back then, which is why it became what it is. And that's where LinkedIn is at the moment. Like it's actually really good content. So it's like, how do you make other content styles where people can go act consistently with your thing, so that when it is the time that you want them to purchase something, or it doesn't even have to be purchased, because it's not all just about making shitloads of money, but you just might want them to do something. Like, let's say you're going like, let's say you had a charity or something that you were trying to support, and you're like, guys, like I really want some support doing this. Like they'll act consistently there. You're always going to have some people who will do it because it's natural, but the more and more people you can shift to make more decisions in your favor, the more likely they'll say the next one in your favor as well. So I reckon that's a cool opportunity. Like it's something that I would definitely suggest is like, how do we get a newsletter? How do we have content on like a platform like LinkedIn? It doesn't have to be LinkedIn. There's other places you can do this. Like you could be one of those guys who gets right into Reddit and have written content on Reddit. That's fine. Like just depending on the subreddits you get into, just make sure go down a rabbit hole. But there are like places for Reddit or Medium.
Okay.
Like could you have like, do you know Medium blogs?
No.
Oh, Medium is like it's essentially a newspaper, but it's like user generated content.
Okay.
All of it's user generated. It's just like a blog website.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's all it is. And they pay you for it too. So like, I think I made all of like $8 on mine, something like that. But you know, I'll take it. I don't even know if I could cash it out. I think it's still sitting in there because you have to get the $50.
Yeah, $50 threshold.
Yeah, but like, I only did it for a little bit as I was putting my newsletters both there and LinkedIn. But like, it's a good place for like, where you could put the newsletter. So you could talk like let's say you're doing travel vlogging,
Yeah.
but you could put the long written version there. And people like travel mediums are massive.
Yeah. Okay.
They're like a big thing there. You should look at it. Medium's like one of those rabbit holes like when you start,
Mm-hmm.
like you get really sucked in. Anyway, I'm rambling now. Okay. I think we're at the top of the hour. Are we at the hour? Yeah. And we're going over. Am I getting told off? What else? What's last? What do you want to leave people with?
What do I want to leave people with?
Buy my ebook on the weekend.
Pardon?
Buy your ebook on the weekend.
Buy my ebook on the weekend. Yeah, definitely. Like, subscribe.
Subscribe.
Like, subscribe. Yeah, I don't know. I think like the thing that I kind of want most for my audience is to feel like it's a safe, comfort space. I want to be everyone's Alex Earl.
Yep.
She's the flavor of the year.
I did notice that on your ones where you talk to camera doing like your night routine or whatever.
Yeah.
It's very Alex Earl look.
Yeah, very Alex Earl.
And they're some of your biggest videos.
Yeah, recently people like really enjoyed that, and I was like, okay.
That is a content style that people love.
Yes, because you know what I'm so disinterested in is when people say, get ready with me while I shut up and just get it to the point.
Yeah.
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 That's what I've been trying recently.
That is so funny because I was like, these ones, this one.
Yeah.
I was watching them and I was like, this is so, which is cool because I think Alex Earl's amazing at what she's
amazing,
done.
Yeah.
But this is so like that style, which she's not the only one, but like, it's so fascinating that these like people just get hooked into these storylines and just watch. It's cool. Okay. Cool.
Cool. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. Cheers.